dear friends. This is Kardec Radio at 11 p.m., nourishing our souls together. We are here to study more about the teachings of Spiritism. The teachings of Spiritism come to us in this life to awaken our consciences. Exactly. We are dormant. Majority of people on earth are dormant. And that what we know in the mode of reactivity, and we are here to plant the seeds of discernment, new understanding, and only Spiritism reveals it to us, right, friends? And you're welcome to join us. When we begin today, we're going to talk about chapter 20 of the book Jesus in the Home by the Spirit Neio Lucio through Chico Xavier. If you don't know, the author, the spirit author of this book, is the same that is mentioned in the book 50 years later by Neio Lucio, the grandfather of the spirit uh, of Celia, right? He was a Roman patrician of a prominent family, and later we got to know that he became a follower of Jesus' teachings. But throughout the book, we can tell that he at first couldn't understand it, later he embraced it. We are now working on the very teachings of the Christ, but in a way that, as he said, he couldn't say before. The promised consoler. That's why we're studying this. Many people around the world are studying Spiritism, are sharing their studies, but we would like to make a note here today. Make a note. Many people read 1, 2, 3 books and they already feel like leading study sessions. And we say, is it okay? Some people ask me, Vanessa, is it okay? It depends. If you are sharing the teachings as a student shares in academia, we give a seminar saying science said this, that, and the other, then it's okay. But if now people take these teachings and they want to be like a spiritual leader, a guru, or think that they are the ultimate scholar, then we would say, watch out. Because these teachings, they come from above. We, no matter how hard we study, we are not, I am not, we are not authorities on this, okay? But a good assessment to see how deep our knowledge is in Spiritism is simple. Many people have been asking at Kardec Radio, how do I know if I have a good knowledge of Spiritism? It's not a simple answer, but we would say, ask this question to yourself. Have you studied, not read only, but have you studied the basic books of Spiritism, meaning all of Kardec's books, studied the Spirit's book, the Medium's book, the Gospel according to Spiritism? We're talking about studying, not reading. And Heaven and Hell, Genesis, what's Spiritism? Then a book that is yet to be translated named Spirit Strip Viagem Espírita. Okay. And then later, the 12 volumes of the Spiritist magazine of Kardec's time. Plus Leon Denis' books, like for example the book After Death. Then we have Emmanuel's books through Chico Xavier, the basic ones. We need the series of André Luiz, From Non Solar to When Life Goes On. This is the minimum studying of these books. If we have not studied these books in depth and we want to take the lead in studies, etc., we're probably risking an illusion, because we needed to know that foundation to be able to share these teachings with solidity. I'm not saying we cannot read a book together and study together. We can. But when we want to help people understand Spiritism, first and foremost, we need to study ourselves. And you see, nowadays, few people dedicate themselves to that level. Many people watch programs, listen to programs. Careful, because not everybody is sharing what the teachings are talking about. They are talking about their opinions. We at Kardec Radio, we make sure that when we share a book, we read the book like Jesus used to do. He used to read the scripture and talk about it. It's a lesson for us, right? So this is just a few comments for you and to help you dive into the studies of these books. At Kardec Radio, we have more than 4,000 podcasts already available to you. And I'm going to show to you a feature that probably many people don't know. It has been there for quite a while. If you go to the app at Kardec Radio, okay, app, click on it, it opens, right? Let me just take the volume off. And once it's there, if you don't want to listen to what's happening here, let me see by the way. Yes, it's happening. If you click on here in this lines, you're gonna find right here the many options, including the YouTube at Kardec Radio, the Facebook page, the Twitter, the Instagram, and the SoundCloud. When you click on the SoundCloud, you go straight to the page or the app. And when you open it, you go straight to Kardec Radio's page on SoundCloud, where the playlists exist, okay? View all playlists, and you browse through the playlists, and you can listen. Thanks to helpers like Karina Lise, we have the opportunity, for example, of listening to all the podcasts of Evolution into Worlds and others. And we have here the Gospel According to Spiritism, André Louis books. We have Heaven and Hell. We have the Spirit book, which was actually recorded by John DeRose and Steve Shepard, etc. So Kardec Radio is helping us right there, okay, right there, to promoting the study of Spiritism, okay? That's why we don't waste our times with politics. We work. We are 100% work like Jesus taught us. We don't discuss work, we work. And you're invited to do the same, okay? So I'm going to say hi to those friends who are here, who have entered our beautiful classroom so we can learn together with Master Jesus. And to make sure that I can say properly the names of everybody, I'm going to say hi. I'm going to say hi to our dear friends. Rudy, thank you. You are blessing, my friend. Marisa Shalov, how are you? Carol Correa, how are you? Matthew Emmerman, how are you, Matthew? Nora Brazil, how are you, Nora? Karina Alice, big hug to you, Karina. Thank you for your help. Valéria, you made it. Big hug to you, Valéria. Rihanna, thank you, Rihanna, for being with us. Dulce, how are you, Dulce? Sunshine, how are you, Sunshine? Raquel Bakesh is here. John Da Rosa. Yes, Lívia Moraes, how are you? And who else can we see? Oh, say, can you see my dona Linai? Okay, we'll find out as soon as possible more of the names that right now My computer doesn't allow me to see. But that's okay, Lusa boy. I just saw it. Ah, Adilson, Alicia Ramos. Thank you, Adilson. Thank you, Alicia. So right now we have friends who are working with us to transpose the Facebook videos into the YouTube videos at Kardec Radio. It's just a matter of time. Hold on, but you'll find all the videos there as well. We have this YouTube channel in which people can watch everything. Ready? Today, the Master Jesus is telling us an important lesson. It's about the secretary. Why do we need to listen to the Master? You may be asking. When we were told by the loving spirits that all the laws of God are in our conscience, Kardec asked, but how come we don't know? Well, the spirits answered, sometimes you disregard it. You know the right thing to do, but you push it aside because it's not convenient. Or we simply forgot. The mechanisms of it are yet to be revealed. But what we know is that next, the spirits reveal to Kardec and to all of us that God is so good that sends more advanced spirits in our lives to remind us. So we need people reminding us, and Master Jesus is the divine authority on earth to remind us of laws we need to comply to be happy. Yesterday, in chapter 19, we've learned about the recipe for peace, for happiness. What is it? Do to others what we like to receive. Right? Yes. Today, Jesus continues teaching us as he talks about secret charity. Okay, so remember, we are in Peter's house. Everybody's getting together. Peter's house was tiny, tiny. And they are there gathered together. And Neio Lucio says, the conversation at Peter's house, and I'm reading from the book, the conversation at Peter's house on this particular night was about practicing the good. And everyone was taking part. Okay, pause. You see how educational the book is put together. It's very educational. Do the good in order to receive the good. And then they are gathered together asking, how do we practice the good? Everybody was sharing. Questions. How can you show compassion if you don't have any money? How can you encourage benevolence if you have no financial resources? Majority of people ask the same questions on earth. If I had money, I would help people. When I win the lottery, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And then people win the lottery, they don't do it. And when they have money, they don't do it. They always find ways to give excuses. So, great names of material wealth were cited with regard to these questions, and the majority of those present were inclined to believe that only the powerful on earth were capable of stimulating acts of mercy. When the Master interrupted kind-heartedly, offering his opinion. Stop for a moment, please. Let's go back to the saying here. People talking about material wealth, right? Only the powerful man could be merciful. Now, the Master interrupted. That's quite interesting. Throughout the previous chapters, we haven't seen Jesus interrupting anybody. On the contrary, he always awaited. He was in silence. He awaited for people to ask. This time, uniquely, he's interrupting and kind-heartedly offering his opinion. Very interesting. He's interrupting because, of course, people are really going wild with a very wrong thought. As a good educator, he's saying, excuse me, let me share something. Kind-heartedly and offering his opinion. So then he says, a man who was truly devoted to the law was exhorted by heavenly resolutions to perform acts of beneficence. However, he lived in extreme poverty, and there was no way whatsoever for him to deduct even the smallest amount from his pay to help others. So whenever possible, he gave of himself with kind words and personal gestures of comfort and encouragement to all those who were going through pain and hardship. But it saddened his heart that he was unable to provide coats and bread to the ragged and starving people alongside the road where he lived. Surrounded by small children, he was a slave in the home that was watered with his sweat. Even so, he realized that if he couldn't do any public charity, he could at least wage war against evil in all circumstances of his earthly journey. This was how he began to pay continual attention to extinguishing all of the inferior thoughts that were suggested to him. Whenever he came in contact with people who liked to speak ill of others, he would politely leave, and when responding to any sort of direct inquiry about someone, he would remember this or that small virtue of the absent victim. If someone was easily angered in his presence, he would consider the anger an illness that needed treatment, and he would quietly withdraw. Insults from others beat down on his spirit like stones on a honey barrel, because besides not striking back, he treated the offender with his usual fraternity. Slander found no access to his soul, such that any kind of obscene accusation was lost, without effect, in his great silence. Whenever he saw threats against someone's peace of mind, he tried humbly to undo the clouds of misunderstanding before they gathered into a storm. If some type of condemning statement was prancing around his neighbor, he would spontaneously do everything he could to defend the person tactfully and inauspiciously. His zeal against the incursion and the spread of evil was so highly detailed that he would even remove debris and stones from public roads so that they would not pose a danger to pedestrians. Having adopted these guidelines, he reached the end of his human journey, unable to attend to the world's suggestions for beneficence. He had never been able to offer a bowl of soup or a woolen coat to his neighbors in need. This was his situation when death brought him before the divine tribunal, where the humble servant appeared apprehensive and despondent. He was dreading the judgment of the heavenly authorities, when suddenly he was crowned with a brilliant diadem. When he tearfully asked the reason for this unexpected reward, he was told that the sublime reward was due to his triumphant position in the war against evil, in which he had made himself an invaluable worker. The Master looked at his disciples with a piercing calm gaze and concluded in a friendly note. We can hand out bread and blankets. We can light the lamp of ignorance, and we can strengthen fraternity by whipping out the sword. But let us not ignore the daily, methodical, and serene battle against evil, convinced that in his holy struggle we will win the divine crown of secret charity. Are you impressed? Are you impressed? What do you feel about this? What do we feel about this? Hello, Célio. Hello, Lisa Teles. Hello, Renata. Big hug to Maxi, Andrea Barreto, Teresa Castro. How are you? So, what do you think? How do you feel about this message, friends? Hmm? How do we feel? Are you surprised? I think Jesus' teachings are so freeing because many people are concerned. Oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not helping much. I'm not. Hey, 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 hold your horses there. Jesus is saying the help is vibratory. Bottom line, we help with our feelings. Tonight in our God at Home, Carlos and I open a message from the book Living Spring. Nobody lives for themselves. And in that book, in that chapter, he says, when I feel, I think. When I think, I am actually taking action. So, the power of thoughts and feelings is where life lies. We can contribute to the peace of the world, to fraternity, by praying more and by doing the following. So, checklist, huh? Checklist for us. Let's make this a checklist, huh? Okay, what did this man do? Practically speaking. Number one, when people were talking bad about others, what did he do? He laughed politely. When somebody asked him about someone, he always had something good to say about the person. That's number two. Number three, if someone was angered in his presence, he would consider anger an illness and he would withdraw without dwelling. Right? Okay? Number three. Number four, when people insulted him, he treated the offended with fraternity. Right? He never slandered. He saw the threats against somebody's peace of mind and he tried to do what? To be the peacemaker. Bottom line for us. Are we doing this? Are we doing this? Well, you don't need to feel guilty because we're learning. But tonight, we're being taught that this is true charity. That the true beneficence is the one that is done through thoughts and feelings. Not only financial. Am I a peacemaker? Am I building relationships, bridging up, or am I destroying them just to make me look good? Am I constantly attached to the external appearances of things in relationships? Or am I deep, seeing that everyone is equally important? What can I do in the next 24 hours to practice this? Make a choice. If somebody asks about a person, you can share the good. They don't know the person unless, of course, the person is a criminal and then say this and the other, right? And you may be asked, but Vanessa, what about when people make a mistake? Well, think about parents and teachers, okay? Parents and teachers need to correct and educate students and children. They need. So sometimes a parent needs to talk to another parent about a child. They're not bad-mouthing the child. They're just saying, well, today this happened. We need to create an educational approach to fix it up. Teachers need to do meetings to talk about the progress, what to do next, but also to talk about how to help the problem students. the students that have problems. They are not bad-mouthing or slandering. We're just saying, this kid needs help. You need to do this, that, and the other to bring this kid closer to the program, to the fulfillment of the plan, right? The same happens in a spirit center. The same happens in a group of physicians who are addressing a patient's illness, etc. So they talk about illness, they talk about how to help the patient, how to help the patient comply with the treatment, etc. And yet they're not gossiping. Gossiping is another level, is when there's no educational approach, there's no means to treat anybody, no therapeutic purpose either. And we go there and simply say, this person did this, that, and the other, da, da, da. Isn't that amazing? I was rereading parts of the book 2000 years ago, and in the preface, Emmanuel talks about slander. It's amazing how in all of the communications by the Christ, by André Luiz, by Emmanuel, by Humberto de Campos, we hear the same recommendation. And it's always at the top 3 of the list. Do not badmouth people. Do not slander. Do not create plots against people. And especially people who are doing the good. It's criminal. In God's eyes, it's criminal. It's criminal. It's a crime to do it. It's a crime. We talk about things that happen in school, right? Ostracizing, bullying, and unfortunately, the children learn from adults because adults do this. I've been to spiritist events where people had a VIP section. It doesn't make sense in a spiritist event to have a VIP section. That's why we need to read the books. At Cardiac Radio, we're recommending to all of us, read the books, study the books, right? Carol Correa is saying, I'm super impressed, charity is within everyone's reach. Exactly, Carol. And that's the beauty of the Master. He doesn't withhold privilege in doing the good. The beauty of Jesus' teaching is that he's empowering everyone. He's not saying, you, Peter, because you're with me and you share your home, you're the best. No, he is inviting everyone across the board, to the point that he keeps investing on Saul of Tarsus, even though Saul of Tarsus was going against him. But he knew it was a projection of the ego. And one day he made Paul of Tarsus be the one who would raise the flag beyond the Hebrew tradition, the very Hebrew who brought these teachings to the Gentiles, to the rest of the world. So Jesus is an equalizer. He empowers everybody. He doesn't say, you're chosen because you have been studying for the longest time. No, he says, you are daily invited to join me in building the good on the earth. As the sun goes up, we say, O governor of our planet, we are deeply reverent, deeply reverent. It's been lives that we've been dormant and finally we are awake. We praise God through you, and we thank you for never giving up on guiding our lives. May we be ever more humble and respectful by respecting everybody in our lives, and especially those who make efforts to do the good, genuinely empowering everyone. May you count on us today. With beautiful thoughts, shall we praise your works? With beautiful feelings, shall we also praise your good works? With beautiful words and actions, may we manifest in this world your proposal of the good news, sharing the good, the encouragement that everyone needs, and also the hope in better days on earth. We can already envision the days when we will be kinder and fraternal, will be more diligent, disciplined, and less egotistic. And we thank you for opening our minds for this beautiful reality that is ahead of us. In this moment, we cherish your presence, dear Master, and we ask, make us your instrument of peace within our hearts, and so be it. May we stay together, right? In the next 24 hours, thinking of this man in this lesson of secret charity and making ourselves available to the Christ of the earth to make his governance easier by thinking of those who suffer and being more charitable in feelings, thoughts, words, and actions. Shall we, friends? Tomorrow when we come back, we're going to be studying another chapter of this phenomenal book. It's The Gem of the Soul with the Master, the Industrious Rich Man. Here at Kardec Radio, always nourishes. Thank you, friends. Until tomorrow, God willing.